The new mystery thriller Gone in the Night, which originally premiered back at the most recent South by Southwest, tells a story that has an intriguing beginning. It starts with the introduction of Kath, Winona Ryder, who is taking a trip with her boyfriend Max, John Gallagher Jr. Up to a cabin they've rented out in the woods. Both seem quite different as people, as Max is immature and unserious in almost all regards, losing his head on the drive to the remote cabin. Kath is more serious and mature, the only one who is able to actually drive. In just this introduction, we feel as though we have learned so much about these characters and have noticed the cracks beginning to form. Making matters worse, they arrive at the cabin where they discover there are already people there. Al, Owen Teague, and Greta, Briandju, claim the cabin is actually theirs for the night. It is an impasse that becomes even stranger when Kath and Max get invited in. They drink and play a sexual board game, ending with Kath calling it an early night. Collider video of the day. This introductory scene, full of an odd tension that you can't quite put your finger on, is a promising start. It is coy in a manner that feels creepy, not really laying anything out about what is going on beyond its discomfort. To withhold information at the beginning of the film can be a smart way to structure your story. By throwing us into an unknown situation, we are drawn to try to piece together what is actually happening. Unfortunately, the rest of the story topples into tedium. For reasons that never make sense, it drags out the shallow mystery of a story until it is stretched so thin that it becomes completely flimsy. While it seems like it is occasionally gesturing at having horror aspirations, it never really gets there and instead turns itself in circles without any real tension. This starts when Kath awakens in the cabin, only to discover Max and Greta are nowhere to be found. She later gets told by Al that they left together after making out. Stunned, Kath subsequently leaves and later talks to one of her friends about how she is just wanting to move on from the experience for good. Only, she doesn't do that as she is clearly still curious about what happened. She proceeds to call the man who owns the cabin to get answers about who Greta is. Known as Barlow, Dermot Mulroney, he offers to help figure out what happened. The film then crawls along as it keeps almost all of its information under lock and key until the last possible moments. It turns it into an odd experience that jumps abruptly back and forth through a time where characters speak with a vagueness that is artificial to the point of being annoying. It is the opposite of when characters rely too much on exposition. In each scene, instead of them spelling out what is happening, they go out of their way to be obtuse. It reaches such a point that it obfuscates any deeper engagement one could have with the story. Every time it seems like Kath and us are getting close to something resembling a new development, it pulls back while continuing to just let the story wander. There are occasional misdirects, though they pass so quickly and just leave a vacuous void without anything interesting in its place. Through its structural stubbornness, it forecloses any possibility of it grappling with deeper emotions, as you are mostly perplexed about why it is being so closed off with everything. This is unfortunate, as there was a lot of potential for this film. The more focused start about a cabin vacation that becomes much darker could have gone in at least entertaining directions. Instead, it stalls, showing us how everyone got there in a way that is meant to evoke thrill but actually feels tired. While this is happening, Kath proceeds through her lackluster investigative storyline with glacial pacing. While a slow burn film that keeps you in the dark can be interesting, there has to be something resembling intrigue. Instead, we just get scenes that see Kath act randomly and go nowhere. In order for a story to keep you guessing and actually be engaging, there has to be something to latch onto. Take a film like 10 Cloverfield Lane, one that was on my mind as it also has Gallagher in it, which danced around the reality of what was happening though would gradually reveal breadcrumbs. With each new piece you got to chew on, you were hooked for whatever would then come next. Gone in the Night seems to offer breadcrumbs, though they are devoid of any substance. A benign lunch meeting or a trip to an underground music venue of some kind just can't keep your attention when they don't introduce anything new. It all just repeats information that had been revealed already multiple times, making it feel perpetually pointless and circular in its construction. Even as all the cast give their best efforts, with Ryder doing everything she can to carry large parts of the film on her back, they are prevented from doing anything interesting that could alter the progression of the story. It wants to just coast on mysterious vibes without actually putting in the work to construct a compelling mystery. There isn't even a trickle of escalation until there is an ending that is equivalent to the narrative floodgates opening up completely. It awkwardly blasts out in a torrent that feels like a smack in the face. It decides now is the time to tell us everything and spill it all out in a bizarre scene of bickering. This is where the full negative impact of its vagueness becomes apparent, as it requires an egregious exposition dump at the end. The film is one where events just sort of come and go until it reaches a clunky conclusion that feels constrained by everything that has come before it. It is like a puzzle where the pieces keep getting taken away by people who hide them in places it'd never make any sense to find them, only to dump them on your head and then run away once more.